Well, welcome to Your County on Community 7 Television. I'm Schutz Wies and I'm your host. Each month we look at a different aspect of what's going on in Yellowstone County. This month we're a little bit off our game because usually when we have the guys from MetraPark in here, it's July and it's fair month and it's all coming on here, but they've been busy out at MetraPark, and so I wanted to have them in and have a discussion on that. We've got Bill Dutcher, the general manager. We got Tim Goodridge, the assistant manager. Tim, Bill, thank you so much for coming in. I know it's not fair month, but we got lots to talk about.
Tim's been working with me I've known him a long time, but he's been working with me exactly a year, and we're proud we're aging him fast.
Yeah, before and after. You can't
Metra years.
Now, when you did the interview to come out to Metra, they didn't tell you that one of the benefits you get is the accelerated aging, correct?
No, they failed to mention that.
All right, good deal. Well, there has been a lot going on out at MetraPark, and we're going to touch on that. But before we do, let's roll back to the fair a little bit, because we get to talk to you before the fair.
Yep.
And in a normal year, that's great because that's what's coming up, and everyone knows what to expect at the fair. This year was a little bit different. I know you guys had to put some protocols in place and all that kind of stuff. Recap, how did the fair go? What went well, what didn't go well? So kind of walk us through that.
One thing, Tim, I'll just start real briefly. Tim's been such a huge part. We've tag teamed so well and everything. But the first event, and we talked to you last summer, because everything was on hold, there wasn't a parking lot, a motel room in town. And that was getting graduation, Tim. That got us that tie-in with DES, the hospitals, the health department, and so that was a big. And then it was most fairs in the country. Actually, about 20% of the fairs in the country actually happened. And we said we're going to have a fair till we're told otherwise. We recapped that with you, but a big part of our glue is 40 years of Thomas Carnival. Thomas Carnival shut down. The same weekend we shut down State A basketball. We called Texas. Remember that day? Yeah. He said, I was in the middle of doing Carnival down in Texas, and that was that. And then he sat for months with his staff. He had workers he had to get from Mexico that had cards to come back, and they were ready to go. We helped carry that off, didn't we, Tim?
Well, we made that agreement with John. John said, if you're going to have a fair, I'll be there. And once we could say that, and we knew we had the meat and potatoes of the fair, we could do it. And so that we called him every week. We said, John, you still coming? And he would say, yep. And so we still had a fair.
Okay. And was there some other stops he could make along the way? Was there some other folks that were able to pull it off?
The same way he ended up after us. We checked over. He did some in Miles City. I was down there the other day, and he did some there. But it started with Devil's Lake, North Dakota, and Bismarck, Billings. Great Falls did not have Cascade County this year. Forsyth did not have them this year. And then they went on to Filer, Idaho, Utah State Fair, and then everything from all their rest of their runs were all canceled all through Louisiana and that part of the country, Arkansas, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and from then on. But that was a big part of our working with the commissioners and the board to make something work.
Sure.
Right, and then we extended the actual days of the fair too, so we would have less people on a given day, but cumulatively it added up to a pretty significant amount.
17 days?
Yeah, so what did the numbers look like at the end of the day? You had to know you were going to be down. How far down did you end up with numbers coming through the doors?
Oh gosh, the real difference is that this year was the first year that we had a new ticketing system, the Sapphire ticketing system.
Yes.
Because the fair up until 2020 was purely cash.
Sure.
It was rolled tickets, it was counting, it's deadwood, right? You count the number that you started with and what's left, and then you estimate how many people come, and then, so we actually counted the number of people that came in through the gates and scanned a ticket. So it was a fraction of what a normal fair is.
Yeah.
But we were very happy with the number that did show up, and we were, this close to making the whole thing pencil out, which was really great.
Yeah.
And we were so proud of Tim, because you and I were there 17 days, the early weekends, and to watch the requirement was, and we didn't follow people around as policemen or sheriffs, crowd management. But we had every staff person had a mask from the minute, which we still do during events, and walking in there and watching the carnival scrub and fan out their rides. And the minute they got a family off, they went and they wiped and they scrubbed in our cleaning. We didn't cut our cleaning budget, did we? No. We had as much cleaning for a third of the fair. Mm-hmm. We had as much cleaning and didn't cut that. But you know, it's funny. All the years this is my 40th and final year. But as we always, what do you talk about? You get out and you go, wow, that was a great show. How many were at Kelly Clarkson with their value passes and everything? 8,000. Leonard Skinnard, the group train. I don't care, pick your poison.
Yeah.
2 years ago, Old Dominion that night, night of the hailstorm.
Yeah.
But it's always, how many are there so you can flood the grounds and sell the beer and sell the food and ride some rides, go see animals. This year it was so different we didn't want to hear about crowds. We had to do it. We did not want to get shut down, and we never, I think the health department, we made Casey Williams, our DES, done a wonderful job with us the last 2 years. Can't say enough good about him.
He was our official fair safety officer.
Safety officer who was on site, meeting with our board members every day and our commissioners every day. And we were really pleased with what we carried off, knowing that 20% of fairs, 20% of Thomas Carnival's business did not happen.
Sure.
Or 80% did not happen.
So I promised to ask a better, more uplifting question after this one. But what didn't go as well as you hoped during the course of the fair? And then I promise I'll ask another one.
Gosh, I don't really know that anything was super disappointing.
First night we had a windstorm.
Yeah,
the first night
that was the thing I was
blew
thinking about,
holy heck, just like last Wednesday here.
Yeah.
Which tells you why you have your emergency meetings before, because we kicked it all into gear the day before our full fair. It was Thursday night when a 60-mile-an-hour wind. That one poor gal was selling little teddy bears and stuff and was lifted up in the air from her booth. And so we kicked in and said, boy, we got our disaster meeting, because we always have a pre-disaster meeting with our sheriff, chief of police, Riverstone Health, and our major electrician and everybody, AMR. And it was nice to see. We didn't plan on having to worry about that. But really, we didn't have any major problems. And the 4-H and the junior livestock sale and the things we were able to carry off by spreading Tim can explain about how we spread the animals out. And
that was the core of the whole fair, and that's what the county commissioners agreed to underwrite, was the junior livestock.
Sure.
Because the junior livestock has never been canceled, even during World War II. So we were really ecstatic about that. Because think about all the things that for the first time in their history were canceled.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we're really proud of, is the continuity of the fair.
Sure.
Year after year after year, you can count on it being there. And we felt like what we were doing, as much as providing a fair, was providing leadership for how people can have optimism and be excited and not just sit around and be afraid of everything.
Sure.
Because the fear is the part that was daunting.
So then that leads me to my next question. What went better than you guys expected? I know you did all this planning for it, and you know, it turned out, hey, we were really worried about this, but you know what? It went just great.
I think the ticketing system, from my point of view, went really well, because like I said, that was the very first year that we'd done it.
Sure.
We never really pushed online tickets, but part of the focus was to do it to keep the touchdown lower too.
Sure.
And we sold, so we went from 100% cash, essentially, to over 50% of our tickets were sold online for the first time.
Yeah.
We didn't really have any issues with validation of tickets, scanning in and out of the gate, all those things, because we had to build out our Wi-Fi network big enough outside so that we didn't have dead zones. So there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that made that happen. So personally, that was one of the things I
just thought of something. Our labor. We cut the hours because we've already been meeting. In fact, we just had a meeting a little while ago, and tomorrow morning our ag committee meets. A full fair opens at noon, and we have people come leave their offices and come down and have lunch and then go back to work and stay open till midnight, so that when we have a regular concert or regular rodeo or whatever entertainment we have, they get out of there on the grounds at 9:30, come down and buy their food and everything else. But we cut the hours from 1 to 11. We had our board meetings at 1, did we not? Opened the doors at 2 to 11. And that allowed all of our vendors that did show up, they got to cut their hours of their labor. Our carnival did. Gee, the carnival checked in every one of their workers and checked their temperature. We watched them every day check their
so
temperatures and record, and it was really humbling to see. But those things all worked, didn't they?
They did.
As we expand back into a full fair, full hours, that really worked good.
Okay, good deal. I promise to have you guys back to talk about the fair coming up.
Yep.
But you've got so much stuff going on at MetraPark right now. Let's start with, you've got some events going on back down here. Tell us about what's going on at MetraPark and what are those events like, what you got coming up, and then kind of how are the procedures for having people in there and what kind of safety precautions you're taking for doing that?
I can start.
Yeah,
and
go
I'll
for
tag
it.
to Tim. Because Tim's been such a part of some other things, we do split forces pretty darn well. But it was exciting Wednesday. You and I were there. Commissioner Pittman was doing a welcome, and George, the commissioner from Bighorn County. And where we left off with those top teams, the girls team, number one, and all those teams from Hardin and Laurel and Central, we were there the other night with Lodgegrass, who was number one 2 weeks ago in B, and to have people come in and to have some of our staff back and our concessions open. And
The smell of popcorn in the air.
we did Friday night with Central and Laurel. That was wonderful to see some of our ushers back, our crowd management, our ticket takers, our parker out in front checking your ID. And it was the box office. It was really fun to get back into those, and with a lot coming up, you can say what we're going to tag on into getting into tournaments, Tim.
Right. Yeah, we've got 2 more games coming up, and then we've
29th and 30th.
Yep, at the end of the month, and then we've got 3 state tournaments coming up.
Yeah, we got
in February and
the
March.
great big Super A divisional with 20 teams, and monster trucks.
Monster Truck, February 20th.
And then the B, boys and girls, I always say from Baker up to Boulder, all the teams in between, and all your Red Lodge and Columbus and Lodgegrass. And then you have your, this year it's our state B, boys and girls. We're still going to be in contact with some final rules with the MHSA meeting, which is going to be in Helena in the next week. And we've been going back and forth, but all systems go on those. And then we've been with our friend Jason, who's, I think this is my 15th year at this job, and he's done his tournament 15 years. The Montana Open, Young Kids Wrestling, that they couldn't have last year. He's chomping at the bit to come in and see us.
Sure.
And that's the end of March.
Sure. And now if people are interested in coming down to the B tournaments or the A Super, whatever, what kind of procedures are in place? What kind of safety measures are still in place for folks that are coming down and they want to feel safe when they come down there?
I think the biggest thing that we've done is we've set our capacity for these next 2 games, and then we'll find out how the trajectory happens in the rest of the county in terms of infections and stuff. But it's looking like it's going in the right direction, so we're really optimistic about that. But right now we've set our capacity for basketball games at 2,900 out of a 10,000-seat arena, so less than 30%.
Sure.
Yep.
And then the other thing that we've done is in the lower bowl, we've zip-tied alternating rows so that people can't just sit right on top of each other. And then the thing that's happened with people is because we're into this for 10 months now, everybody is self-distancing.
Sure.
And it's
We
really,
watch it.
yeah,
We watch
it's
it.
amazing. They all sit down and people have the requisite 6 feet between each other. And then if you don't have them sitting right on top, then it's fine. And the biggest thing that's really exciting about it is I saw almost 100% people being masked when they came in, which is the most important part because that's where you get more of the close proximity.
Yeah.
And everybody's wearing masks when they come in. Everybody's wearing masks when they're waiting in lines at the concessions. And then about 40% of the people sitting in the crowd, too, still have their masks on.
Yeah.
So I think everybody
We've been
can be
pleased
safe
with
that
that.
way. And
We've
then the
been
one
pleased.
big difference is you can buy all these tickets online now for the basketball games,
Okay.
where in the past it was all just cash
Yeah.
and walk up. So that makes all the crowds in the lobby a lot less too.
Sure. All right.
That's helped a lot.
Absolutely. Along with the sporting events, I know the last time I talked to you guys, we were right in the middle of the pandemic, and kind of live music it just wasn't happening. It's just not going to happen. Has that broken loose at all? And some of those folks are starting to, well, what if we booked a date in November? We're feeling pretty confident about November. Has that started at all?
Oh, it's big.
Yeah.
I mean, our fall.
November, October.
The biggest problem we have in the fall is we don't have enough dates because everybody's hungry to get out. I mean, there's levels of artists, right? The guys at the top, the ones that are richer than Sin, they don't really have to work. But everybody else underneath that, their money all comes from touring now because recording doesn't pay the way that it used to. So they need to be on the road to make a living. So we've got lots of stuff coming up. And then this is the one that we're very excited about is May 22nd, Toby Keith.
That's
still
our
on the books. That'll be our first big show. And
it's a week after PBR.
Yes.
Which is officially on for the 15th, 16th, that weekend of May for PBR to come back, which we did have in September before we got shut down.
Yes. And PBR's got everything down pat. They're like a science. They've figured out how to keep everybody separate, how to sell the tickets, how to make sure that everything is safe. So we're
You and
really,
I couldn't go to the back of the building.
No, we couldn't. That's the first time.
I don't care
we
what
can't
your
even-
name badge says.
No.
But it was neat to see on national TV that Madison Square Garden and all these places that can't have them in Chicago, here we were doing it, and now you got them on again. And Ray does a great job keeping in contact with them, and we're on for so those are the first big ones coming back.
And when do you anticipate you're going to be able to say, yep, this show it booked in November and tickets are on
Luke
sale?
Combs, I think, is our big, because Cher officially canceled. But
Is
Luke
that one
Combs,
October or November?
I believe October, right after roping, I think.
Yes. And that one's sold out.
Oh, okay.
Because they've moved that one 2 times already.
Yeah.
So that one's, and then Cher finally canceled. So
We
that
got
one's
Man,
off.
we got Man, and we hope to have Nile Rodeo back and get back into their regular routine. We didn't get to have Chase Hawks, but I talked to somebody at Rotary Club the other day that says, I just bought my ticket for Mannheim Steamroller. And then I think we have a Christian concert right around there.
There's a couple of things that we can.
And then a whole bunch of holds.
Oh boy.
I looked the other day, I was looking for a question to be answered, and I went, holy smokes, here's all these promoters. I'm thinking of a couple that was done, Miranda and us from St. Louis. All of a sudden I'm going, wow, they got a hold. So-and-so's got a hold. So they are
there's a lot of
chomping for
holds.
next fall.
Another one came in today too for October.
Oh boy.
Well, you guys won't be able to breathe in October. So.
We're so happy though. Bill and I are the same. I mean, the events are what do it for us, right? You go and it's the excitement and the energy that comes from the crowds and seeing all the people that we know and getting a chance to see the sparkle.
They were just thrilled to be sitting in those seats and the lighting and the scoreboard. And everybody was just, and our workers, we have so many wonderful workers, and to see the ticket takers and them back the other night, and some of our concession folks waving to them, and they're just tickled at our vendors, just thrilled to be back in that. So.
All right, good deal. All right, let's move on to buildings at MetraPark. I know you guys have spent time kind of thinking about this, and now it seems like things are rolling into action. Talk to us about the planning of it, then now some of the execution, and what we can see coming from MetraPark here in the next few years.
Well, Bill gets to start with the destruction.
I'll start, and he's got the excitement, but I got some facts, and we did this the other day. We met, one of your questions to us was about TBID. We met with their board the other day, and I think they were excited about what they heard, and we answered a lot of questions that the passersby, the taxpayer that drives by goes, I blinked, something's gone. What's going to happen? And Tim's going to tell you about
All right, we're going to do a quick timeout from Tim Goodridge. I need 30 seconds. What is the TBID?
The tax
something, what does it do?
Business Improvement District, right?
Yeah.
And what it does is it takes money from bed tax and then it throws it back into the community to help seed events.
Right.
The branch of the chamber.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Alex
Tourism
Tyson, Visit
Businesses
Billings.
Improvement District, that's what it is. Yeah.
Shelly Mann, Alex, we waved at the Northern, and Steve down at Clock Tower. We just went in, John Brewer was there, and it's a branch of the chamber, but it's the bed tax. And as I said the other day when we met, before I go through these buildings real quick, I was about in tears. I'd come to work every day last spring, and I would drive by the Boot Hill and the Country Inn and Suites when we didn't have any events. And the only thing we saw for a while was the 33 National Guardsmen that built the hospital beds down in the Expo building. But with that, they're excited about what they're hearing about. So real quick, I can tell you, go through just a couple minutes.
Sure.
First of all, people saw the grandstands coming down. That wasn't something that was voted on or somebody just decided to tear them down. After the last regular fair 2 years ago, we had chunks of concrete coming off that would have given you You wouldn't want to know.
It would have killed you.
And so they were, the study came in, it would have cost 25 million to rebuild, the minimum of 4 to 5 million just to fortify it enough to have any kind of event. The commissioner spent $700,000. It was done right before Christmas this year, totally completed and torn out, which opens the footprint Tim's going to talk about. And then right before the fair, we had in some of where our concession booths are, let's go over there, Independent Midway, let's call it, $682,000 worth of underground. Our light poles came down. We got new light poles, underground sewer, water, electrical. That was a perimeter area. Well, then came come down, anybody's welcome to come down in the public and drive in the carnival lot. They never had drainage. It was done in 1987. The new $1.2 million carnival lot with 3 boulder fields underneath. We watched them do all these steps, and man, it was exciting to see what kind of drainage they'll have. And now they're all striped on top so we can have events that Tim will talk about as you move forward, striped parking lot. Real quick, coming around the backside, barn 0 and barn 10, we never could have during horse racing or anything with an inch of snow on top. You couldn't be in there because of the safety factors. Those just came down. And then our sandstone and heritage came down. We couldn't even have during Nile cows or horses or any people in that because of the safety. They just literally, Don Jones took some pictures, just crumbled apart. Those are the ones he just came down along Exposition Drive. I'm just about done. Over by the super barn and our other stalling barn, barn 9 and 11 were taken down in the last 2 weeks after $20,000 worth of asbestos abatement. And now the dirt work is being done as we speak, and that's going to be 275 by 80, 100 open air stalls right down where that agriculture part of the, and then we'll add some more later as we tear more barns down. Yeah. And then one more thing, and I'll shut up. The new, it's been 3 years that the big, huge water treatment plant, 48 and 60-inch lines, all run underneath MetraPark. We have a big dirt pile in the back left over from that, but that the city has. But that's going to be huge improvements that come underneath our grounds, and we've been in process of that for 3 years.
All right. So now all that's coming down. What's coming in its place?
Well, right now we're in the phase of what we're calling the conceptual plan. Because obviously we have ideas about what should happen down at MetraPark because of what we do and the crowds that we see, but we want to engage the community too to make sure that what we're thinking is what everybody else wants too, because one of the coolest things about MetraPark is that everybody feels like they own a little piece of it. Mm-hmm. Because there's been so many really memorable, emotional moments that people have had there. High school tournaments, wrestling tournaments, concerts, the fair, all kinds of things. So it's really a unique place in terms of what people think about it. So that's what we're doing right now is we have ideas about what we think is important to people, and then we're going to ratify these through the community outreach, and we're involved in that. So the main things that we're thinking about, number one, we want to improve entry and access. Because on the south side right now, you can come in and out of unregulated gates. You got to make a left turn onto a highway. Yeah. You can't do it. So one of the first things that we want to do is end up with signalized access on the south side so people can get in and out, because one of the major complaints is I get stuck in the parking lot and I got to sit here for 3 hours to get out of a show. Yeah. We don't want that. So if we get signalized access off the south end, then all of a sudden we can build new parking lots down there too, so that people don't have to wait in line and then go internally. So that's a big thing. The other thing that we want to do too, and this is really important that most people don't think of in terms of a master plan, is improvements to First Interstate Arena. Because Tornado is 10 years ago. Yeah. So what was brand new 10 years ago is now 10 years old. So there's things that we know that we need to do, and then part of it is the hygiene that's going to be necessary to keep people happy with the way that the world is now after COVID. Sure. So we're going to be expanding the lobbies. We're talking about doing more hospitality on the back end so that we can bring people in from the exhibit hall doors so we can get people in and out quicker. There's all kinds of really fun stuff. Maybe expanding the concessions on the west side so that you can sit there, drink a beer, have something to eat, and look down at the beautiful downtown as the sun sets. So that's one of the things that we're talking about for the arena. The other thing that we want to do is expand the expo center. because the Expo Center right now is like a
went right
giant
into the
Costco
grandstands.
barn.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, you can set up things, you can do some cool stuff in there, but what we're missing out on are some of the smaller events, more entertainment events. Because if you think about what's available in our town right now, we have First Interstate Arena, 10,000 people. You have Pub Station, 1,000 people. You got Alberta Bear Theatre, 1,300, but that 2,000 to 2,500 range, you don't really have a nice room. So I mean, you could do a show in Expo right now, but it wouldn't be, there's no atmosphere, the sound wouldn't be that great. So the expansion that we want to do there enables us to have those kind of events, to have a lecture, to have an instructional, educational kind of a thing. And then the other part we want to do too is add meeting rooms along the west end so that you could have breakouts. So you could be having some kind
Nice
of
conferences.
a conference or something going on, and then people could break out and have smaller discussions, a kitchen, and then out of that kitchen you go directly out to the west and you have this great pedestrian walkway that connects the campus from north to south. Because if you've been on MetraPark many times, I mean, you got to figure out where you're going to go. You're going to go around this building and down this and then over here. So if we get this good mall, essentially, that people can walk in and out of, you come out of that and then you're standing right in Ground Central. A little bit to your west and to your south is an outdoor amphitheater that can seat between 8,000 to 10,000 people. We could do 10 to 15 shows a year there during the season from June or from probably the end of May through September. People love to be outdoors. People love to see music and shows. And then the cool thing about that too is if we have a facility like that, then it lends itself to civic events. The symphony can play. The opera can play. You can do a graduation there. There's all kinds of neat stuff that could happen there. And then right directly to the east of that would be a new arena, which would be focused primarily on agriculture. So it would be big enough to have a rodeo in. And we'd have a concrete floor with dirt as our norm in there. And then the cool thing that happens with that is that you no longer have dirt in the expo. The new arena becomes animals. The old expo becomes people, so that it's clean all the time. Because the real money is in clean things like volleyball games, basketball, wrestling, even roller derby. We have all kinds of stuff in there. And then the expanded parking. And then the other thing that's really cool too is that we've talked to KOA and some of the other RV, about having an RV place in the back side. Because it's in the flood zone, which means that you got to get all kinds of crazy permitting to build anything, but you could do an RV park there because it's primarily gravel with some asphalt. You pull in, you park, and if it's not flooding, you're in great shape. And what does it flood? Once every 30 years?
Last time was 202011 that I remember having any water.
So lots of excitement. And then the other thing too, this isn't really us, but it's part of what's going to happen with the road itself is that intersection at First and Expo is going to change over time, which is going to include a slip lane. So you come in, you hit right to the right, and then boom, you're going around the corner without having to stop.
So at Elton John, we're not backing you up on the interstate that we hear about and those kind of situations.
But we have to rely on the state to come up with the money for that.
Well, that's good. Well, gentlemen, I know I could talk to you for another hour about all the stuff that's going on in MetraPark, but we will have you back, I swear, in the summer. And we'll do that. Tim, thank you so much for all of the insight. Bill, thank you so much for coming down and talk to us. I know you guys put a tremendous amount of effort and energy to bringing events, bringing things to this community where we can gather as a community. Thank you guys, and thank your staff for all that you do.
Thanks for having us. We'll pass that on, and we can't wait to see you again.
All right.
Welcome back.